This is a dashboard you're greeted with when you log into Orchestrator. It gives you a really great at-a-glance view of your environment. Let's head over to orchestration plans. Now, an orchestration plan is basically your disaster recovery plan. One thing I want to point out is the context help menu in the lower corner of the screen. This is great when you're getting started with Orchestrator because it gives you really helpful information about what you're going to do. For example, in orchestration plans, it's telling me all about the different types of orchestration plans in Orchestrator, and I could even get more information if I wanted to. Let's go ahead and create an orchestration plan. Very simple to do. We come over here to Manage, and we click New, and we just give our plan a name. Next, we select the plan type. We're going to go ahead and create a CDP Replica plan because that's the newest plan in Orchestrator version 4. I just want to go through the rest of the plans real quick because you'll notice the left navigation menu changes very, very slightly as we go through them. It's really simple to create any type of orchestration plan. Once you've created one, you've created all of them, and there's just simple nuances between them. Let's go ahead with the CDP Replica plan. First thing we're going to do is pick the VMs that we want to have in our orchestration plan. I'm going to go over here and click Add, and then View VMs. Remember the names of these VMs because we're going to look at them later on in vCenter when we're failing over. Now this is super flexible. You can add virtual machines to your orchestration plan in a couple different ways. Besides using a data store like I did, also new in version 4, you can add them based on backup and replication jobs, or you can add them based on vSphere tags. Next, let's take a look at some VM recovery options. These are just some settings for your plan. For example, if any VM recovery fails, do I want to halt the plan or proceed with the plan? And I can also select to recover the VM simultaneously or in sequence. Now here is some of the magic of Orchestrator. If I scroll down on my plan steps here, we can see a number of out-of-the-box enterprise application verification steps. Now, what I like to do in this screen is add more general steps. For example, I have an application verification script that needs to run on every VM in my plan because I'm in a regulated environment. Now, if I wanted to add steps like Exchange or SQL, what I like to do is after I initially create my orchestration plan, I go back in, I edit the plan, and I add these enterprise application verification steps at the per VM level. So my SQL databases get the SQL steps, and my web servers get the web server steps. It's really simple to do. Next is setting our RTO and RPO, which is, of course, the most important part of any disaster recovery plan. Let's go ahead and go with a RTO of 15 minutes and an RPO of 1 minute. Since this is a CDP Replica plan, we can get really, really aggressive with these. Next are our report templates. Our report templates are used for generating all of Orchestrator's dynamic documentation. I'll show you a couple examples, but we're going to go ahead and pick the template that I've customized. We can schedule reports to run on a daily basis, the plan definition report, and the readiness check, which will actually run as part of creating our plan now. These reports can also be automatically emailed to key stakeholders. We're going to select running our readiness check plan now. We see a summary of our disaster recovery plan, and that's it, we're done. So let's give Orchestrator a moment or two to run that readiness check, and we'll take a closer look at our environment. You can see that we've passed our readiness check, and there's a couple ways to access our information. I can click into my orchestration plan here and review everything right in the Orchestrator UI. I can also go back and take a look at the report. So let's go take a look at the report we just generated. Here you can see my plan template that I've customized. I have a logo here, and I have a bunch of other information that I've included in this template that's important for my environment. Now, something that's really great is the table of context is also hyperlinked. So I'm going to click on infrastructure diagram here. This is something that I've added, and it basically just shows the infrastructure of my environment. So when somebody's reviewing this report, they know what they're looking at. You can put anything you need to in these documents. They are fully customizable. Of course, by default, we're going to put in really important things like recovery objectives. And let's scroll down a little bit more and actually look at what our readiness check came up with. Now, here's the most important thing, of course, when it comes to a disaster recovery plan, especially a CDP plan. Are we meeting our RPO and our SLA? Orchestrator is going to check that every time it runs a readiness check. And we can see right here our RPO is a minute, the plan is achievable, and we have an SLA of 100%. And that means we're ready for a failover. Speaking of a failover, let's go run one right now. The first thing I'm going to do is enable my plan, and that just puts it in a state that allows me to run it with simply one click. I'm going to right click here, click run, and put in my password. We can pick our restore point we want to use. I'm going to go with a short-term restore point, and then we can browse through our restore points. I'm just going to use the latest. It tells us that our readiness check was successful and we're ready to go. So I'm going to click next, I'm going to click finish, and that's it. We're executing our orchestration plan or our disaster recovery plan. As you can see, Orchestrator is doing its thing, and if we click into the plan, we can see the steps that Orchestrator is taking. It's really good at letting us know exactly what's going on in our environment. So you can see the steps it's taking on each and every VM, and everything's looking good. Now, let's head over to vCenter and take a look. You can see our virtual machines have powered on our replicas right here. Remember those machine names from earlier in our plan? And if we come back to our Orchestrator window here, we can do another great thing, which is actually open the VM console to our virtual machine right from Orchestrator. This is great for application owners who want to keep an eye on things, or operation teams who want to keep an eye on things. They can stay completely in the Orchestrator interface. They never have to go to vCenter like I just showed you. That was just for illustration. So let's go ahead and access that VM console. As you can see, our virtual machines are starting up, and once they're started, we can actually access them right from here. Now let's head back to Orchestrator, back to orchestration plans, and from this window, we can see any kind of plan that's running and what it's doing. Our plan execution is complete. So once again, let's go into the Orchestrator UI and take a look at what actually happened. If I click on any of VMs, I can see all the steps it ran. For example, I mentioned the verification script we needed to run. We can see this verification step started, my PowerShell script started, I had some write hosts in there to let Orchestrator know what was going on. So we'll also see this in the documentation when we look in a moment. The verification's in progress, it's complete, everything's running and verified, and everything was successful. Now let's take a look at the Orchestrator documentation. If I come to reports, now we can take a look at our execution report. So once again, I simply click to download my report and I can open it. Couple really interesting things here. All of the information we had in our readiness check, like the application diagrams that our teams are going to need, are in this document because it's all based on the same customized template. And if we scroll through, Orchestrator's keeping track of everything that's really important in our environment. So for example, we can see that our RTO and RPO were met and achieved. Very, very important here. And then if we scroll down, we can see the steps that were taken on each and every VM. We can see everything that Orchestrator did to actually process that replica VM. And then we can once again see that script that you saw me put into our orchestration plan and the results right here. Once again, these documents can be automatically emailed to key stakeholders. Now, if we head back over to our dashboard, we can see that our states have changed, right? We have in-plan execution. We have one plan that has run successfully, and our other plan hasn't run yet. You've seen how easy it is to create a disaster recovery plan, what we call an orchestration plan, and then run a readiness check and ensure that you're always ready for failover. After that, we simply ran our disaster recovery plan with just a few clicks, and Orchestrator kept us up to date with what was happening right in the UI. Then we took a look at the report that is dynamically generated and sent to key stakeholders.